As you can see, I've decided to record myself taking a political compass test. This isn't the one people normally use, but it has almost the exact same questions, and I like it more because it lets you answer without agreeing or disagreeing. I don't really like either version though, because they both have some poorly worded questions that leave me wanting to answer with "it depends." And I also don't like the way it determines your result, because on both of them I end up getting a little bit more libertarian than I would like. But anyway, I still think they're pretty fun to take, and I like watching people take them. So my first question is, government spending with the aim of creating jobs is generally a good idea. Yeah, that sounds beneficial, especially if it involves building a re-education camp to send State of Daniel to. But of course that's not the norm, and it says generally, so I'll just agree. Alright, medically assisted suicide should be legal. I strongly agree with this one. I'm kind of afraid of questions like this though, because I think these sort of ones will give me a libertarian result. Even though libertarians never talk about this. They just talk about things like smoking weed, having assault rifles, not getting vaccinated, not wearing seatbelts, and of course making it easier to get away with crimes. But it still has to do with freedom, so I guess that means I'm Ron Paul now. Some people and religions are generally more trouble than others. Strongly agree again. This one is really obvious. Only a total hipster would disagree here. Marijuana should be legal. Alright, this is a tough one for me, because I hate marijuana, and I hate anyone who uses it. But I can see that there are still benefits to legalizing it. For example, seems that it would save a lot of money and hopefully increase tax revenue. So just on that basis, I'm gonna agree. We need to increase taxes on industry out of concern for the climate. That's not the only way to combat climate change, but it would definitely help. Unlike the brilliant string theorist, quack physicist who promoted inspiring philosophy, I am not a climate change denier, so I'm generally in favor of solutions to it. Some countries and civilizations are natural enemies. This one doesn't really make sense to me, because the ideologies and cultures of countries and civilizations change, so I'm going to disagree. I guess if it said that countries are sometimes temporarily natural enemies, maybe I'm overthinking this, but I don't want to say something that commits me to thinking that North Korea will be an enemy of the United States in 600 years. Western civilization has benefited more from Christianity than from the ideas of ancient Greece. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say no. Christianity gave us Sarah Palin. That's probably the worst thing, but of course everyone knows there's a long list of historical atrocities committed in the name of Christianity, which obviously Christians will say, things like killing witches, forcing people to convert, and slavery are not actually part of Christianity. But that just suggests that for a really long time, people didn't understand Christianity. It being hard to understand is a reason why it's not very beneficial. Greece, on the other hand, invented logic and reason, which was awesome until it was trademarked by YouTube atheists who deny logic. And it also produced Platonism, which is annoying. strongly disagree. If an immigrant wants to fly the flag of his home country on my country's soil, that's okay with me. Well, I don't think it should be illegal. I'll say this. My rage at the immigrant depends on which country's flag he has. But flying any flag is kind of stupid, so I'll just say agree in that I don't think it should be like against the law. If a person wants to drive without a seatbelt, that should be their decision. Fuck no. I fucking hate libertarians. How could a person be upset that they can't drive without a seatbelt? My country should give more foreign and developmental aid to third world countries. Good God. I actually don't know how much we give right now or what effect it's had, so I'm just not even going to agree or disagree. The government should redistribute wealth from the rich to the poor. Strongly agree, and that includes all of Carly Fiorina's money. Monarchy and aristocratic titles should be abolished. Sure, that sounds okay. It is legitimate for nations to privilege their own religion over others. No, that's retarded. Every country should be entirely secular. Even the U.S. isn't secular enough for me because it puts religion in its own special category instead of just treating it like any random belief. So, strongly disagree. Homosexual couples should have all the same rights as, well, obviously, all the same rights as heterosexual ones, including the right to adopt. I'm going to strongly disagree, even though I'm aware that Derez has some research on this by Catholic priest Paul Raper that shows why gays raise kids badly, but I'm just going to say that's probably bullshit. Prostitution should be legal. Well, it's going to occur either way, so it kind of depends on which is more beneficial to the prostitutes, and I don't know anything about this, so I'm not going to agree or disagree. Capital punishment should be an option in some cases. Yeah, maybe if the person is on video clearly committing the crime and then confesses to it after no coercion at all. To me, the best part about capital punishment is that it's not actually as bad as a life sentence. And conservatives like it for the opposite reason. They actually think it's worse because they're stupid. I don't want to pick the one that seems worse because I don't like the idea of retribution. Because I don't believe in ultimate responsibility because I'm not retarded. But Animating Retard would say that someone should be given a horrible punishment if they had a certain qualia, since that's what makes them responsible. Now, how you determine what qualia a person had, that's left for Animating Retard to figure out. Okay, overall, security leaks like those perpetrated by Edward Snowden and WikiLeaks do more harm than good. I don't really like this question because those two things seem to me to be fairly different. Snowden leaked a single instance of the NSA doing something illegal, but I'm pretty sure WikiLeaks just leaks whatever they can get their hands on. That said, Edward Snowden, I think the reaction people had to Edward Snowden was totally out of proportion. Because all he showed was that emails are being read, and I'm pretty sure it was just probably from suspected terrorists, because otherwise it would just be a gigantic waste of time to read emails from random people. But even if the government was trying to read everyone's emails, the main thing to be concerned about in that case would be the money that's being wasted on paying people to do that job. I just hate how everyone overreacted and started thinking we're living in 1984 because there are a few people who are probably bored out of their minds reading emails all day. So Edward Snowden caused some harm in that I had to hear from fear-mongering libertarian lunatics, but overall it was a good thing. WikiLeaks, on the other hand, I don't know enough about what they released, so how should I answer this? I'm not gonna agree or disagree to that. Surveillance and counter-terrorism programs have gone too far. Nope. By the way, the main reason why libertarians don't like surveillance is because they want to be able to get away with breaking the law. That's the same reason why they don't want police to be able to take DNA samples or search your car or see if you're driving drunk. They just don't want there to be a justice system because freedom. If you're going to end up incriminating yourself by talking to the police, you're a piece of shit. So, disagree. I know that was regarding terrorism. There is at heart a conflict between the interest of business and the interest of society. I notice I'm having a lot of Repsion moments here reading these questions. And yeah, I think this, obviously, there is. Because businesses want to make money whether or not that leads to greater well-being for the society. Okay, the government should provide health care to its citizens free of charge. Yep. One exception, though. Except to State of Daniel. His main argument, by the way, is that without universal health care, we'd have a larger amount of suffering, therefore we shouldn't have it. Speculation on the stock exchange is less desirable than other kinds of economic activity. Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. Taxpayer money should not be spent on arts or sports. Alright, I can see art maybe being acceptable, but absolutely never should taxpayer money be spent on sports. That sounds more like something Republican presidential candidate Howard Strongman would say, who, by the way, he wants to tax the North $2 trillion for sporting events. He's a real candidate. Sports are only enjoyed by stupid people. Immigration to my country should be minimized and strictly controlled. This position is usually seen as a racist thing, but that's just because that's the motivation conservatives have for this position. That doesn't have to be the motivation. For instance, say I create a utopia somewhere, I wouldn't want a bunch of Americans to immigrate to it and corrupt it with bad ideas like reality TV and mandatory obesity. Free trade is better for third world countries than developmental aid. I have no idea. A strong military is a better foreign policy tool than a strong diplomacy. They're both good, so I won't agree or disagree. Overall, the minimum wage does more harm than good. I'm not sure on this. Conservatives think it does harm because if it's above zero, it's too high for most of the jobs that currently pay minimum wage. And some liberals are against it for other reasons. But a lot of countries have it, and a lot of good countries have it. As long as it's kept up to date, I don't think it's a bad thing. It almost never ends well when the government gets involved in business. That is just retarded. That's all that needs to be said about that. Equality is more important than economic growth. I'm going to agree to that.